From KUNC and the NPR network, this is In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. When President Jimmy Carter died this past December, a lot of the tributes mentioned his push for renewable energy development in the U.S. And one unusual part of his plan was focused here in Colorado. The Carter administration had backed the design of some experimental homes along the Front Range. They were warmed by the sun and fueled by renewable sources, an exciting idea in the late 70s. John Avenson was paying attention back then and wanted to live in one of those homes. He got the plans, hired a contractor, and built his very own Carter home in Westminster in 1981, even as Carter's successor in the White House scaled back renewable energy development. John still lives in that home today, and he still gives several tours a month to people interested in learning about how to build an energy-efficient home.
My first winter season, which was 81, 82, I didn't have to use the furnace. And so I knew from the first winter, this is a model home that works. I've been bringing the public in since that first winter season.
John's home is featured in an episode of the PBS series Heart of a Building, which focuses on energy-efficient construction. I talked with John earlier this year, as well as with Paul Kreischer, who hosts Heart of a Building, about life in one of Colorado's first and oldest energy-smart homes. We're listening back to that conversation today. John, let's start with your motivation to build this home. What initially excited you about the idea of living in one of the first energy-smart homes during the Carter administration?
It started when I was 9 years old, when Dad took our family trip to the Indian cliff dwellings of Colorado. And the forest ranger there said they dug their caves on the side of the mountain where the winter sun kept the stones warm. I thought, as a 9-year-old, well, why don't they make houses like that? And when Carter created a Solar Energy Research Institute, I was going to some of those seminars, and I went, wow, this is my 1,000-year-old Anasazi home heated by the sun. And it's also so integrated that it's my Jetson home.
I love the past and the future colliding in this house. John, how did friends and family react when you announced you were going to build one of these homes?
My closest sister here in Arvada said, oh, John, this is something you got to have. They had known that I was into science fiction since I was little.
Paul, your show is all about energy-efficient buildings. What stands out to you about these homes that Jimmy Carter championed when he was president?
Yeah, that was an amazing time, a very forward-thinking time. And I miss President Carter now, to be very honest. So what was beautiful in that vision is that we didn't have computer modeling as engineers have now to figure out what would make a home more efficient, more comfortable, using less resources. They had to build homes and experiment and see what would happen. And it really impressed me, the dedication that went into that, and John being inspired to want to have that and then make that his home.
John, was it hard to build?
It was based on standard floor plans of the existing construction companies, but the criteria was turn the building whatever way has the most windows facing south, which is so simple. And so they added a few more windows from the basic plan and turned it to be facing south. I was the first person in this particular neighborhood. And so I got first choice at a plot of land that faced south. And here I sit with my 44-year-old museum.
Very active, wonderful museum. Yes.
So, Paul, another upgrade John made was to the solar power the house gets. Can you talk about how far solar technology has come in the decades since Carter first installed solar panels on the White House?
Yeah, it's been a huge advancement, of course, since that time. So 4 decades ago, you were looking at something that was astronomical. The cost was astronomical. Now, what we've seen just in the last 20 years is that we've gone from solar production where it was $10 an installed watt to where now we're down to close to $1.75 an installed watt, and some people are even doing it for a little bit less than that. So it's been like computer technology. It's advanced so dramatically, and it's very long lasting as well, which is a beautiful part of it.
John, one thing I found interesting is that your appliances in the home basically communicate with one another and they adjust themselves to make them run efficiently. Can you give us an example of what that is like?
Yeah, there's 40 motion sensors in all the corners of the house. And as I move around, the lights come on and off. The appliances are all monitored for their current and wattage flow. And all day long, I get notices on my phone that says how much power is being used by any one thing. All the windows in the house were pre-wired for electric shades. My house had the infrastructure, and all the shades are automatically going up and down to let the sun in, don't let the heat out. And then the outside shades prevent the sun from coming in if the house is too hot.
John, we are seeing another example of a president rolling back renewables as a national priority, just like Reagan did around the time that you built your home. What do you make of this new deprioritization of renewable energy?
I have my fingers crossed. With the battery technology is getting better, and some costs are getting so low that perhaps the economic forces can keep that stuff moving forward.
Yeah. Paul, anything to add about that?
I'm still very hopeful, in spite of the administration's desire to roll back incentives. We'll see what they really do when it comes to energy efficiency and solar incentives. There's so much industry connected to that now that even without the incentives, that these industries are going to continue to flourish because things like solar in particular has become so cost effective that it's the lower cost option so many times for utility companies to use on large scale systems. And for forward thinking homeowners, it's become very affordable. If they're trying to stop something, all they're going to be doing is putting their finger in a small dike that's got lots of leaks and is ready to just keep flowing through. It's not going to stop the change that's happening.
That was Paul Kreischer, host of the PBS series Heart of a Building, and John Avenson, who owns one of the original Carter homes in Westminster. We spoke in February. Since then, President Trump has rolled back tax credits and other incentives for clean energy projects for homeowners and developers with the passage of his budget bill. We'll have more information on that and a link to the Carter Home episode in our show notes and at KUNC.org. By the way, all of our interviews are available as podcasts. You can catch up with episodes you missed or share one with a friend at our website. Again, that's KUNC.org, or find them anywhere you listen to podcasts. That's it today for In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Thanks so much for listening.